Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Fictional Character Motivation. I'm your host, Quan, and I hope everybody's doing well today. Today, we'll be talking about, don't worry, I'm messing with my hair, I see it. We'll be pretty much going over the movie The Day After Tomorrow and what happens if we don't change in time. So, hope everyone's doing well, and here we go. There we go, a little bit better. Day After Tomorrow came out in 2004. After climatologist Jack is largely ignored by certain government officials about the environment and the melting ice caps, his research proves true when enormous superstorms develop, showing catastrophic natural disasters throughout the world. He then has to travel to New York to get his son Sam, who is with Laura and others, by driving, walking, and the changing elements before it's too late. Aside from this movie also talking about the possibility of climate change and how the ice age might have happened, this hits on when we are too late to change or adapt. There was a couple times, that the movie gave a chance for the people to change and to change their ways, and even had a couple more times for people to adapt to the current changes, the current events that were happening before they had no choice but to do one thing or another. As this year has similar themes, with mostly being COVID, we must observe when we need to adapt and change in every scenario before it's too late. Because if we don't adjust, if we don't adapt, if we don't change in the right amount of time, small issues turn into big issues. Things that could have been avoided is now unavoidable. And losses that could have been avoided are now losses that we now ponder and haunt us in a way. So, what can be changed? What can we do in those times before it gets bad or when it gets bad? As usual, I have some ideas. First thing is know the facts that can help you change. Similar to this current, similar to this current climate, I guess. I'd like, if I can pretty much make this and the movie kind of similar, is that there are loads of facts that the people, that some of the people that could have done something were presented with, and they decided, it's okay, I have something else to focus on. When indeed this was a thing that needed to be focused on, that needed to be worked on. It's always good to know the facts. This goes for every situation, whether it is something global or something personal. It's good to know the facts. It's good to know where you stand, where we stand, where everyone stands before, you start doing stuff, so you know how to change, what you need to change, what you need to do before the crazy thing happens. Second thing is stubbornness is useless. The one thing that some people think that that they can do besides changing, besides adapting, is they feel that sometimes they can be stubborn. That it's like, nah, if I just push through and keep doing this, eventually, it will bend. And in certain times in life, that is true, but most of the time, you have to look at it in a certain angle and be like, it's true, if you do keep bashing into this thing, it will go down. But if you happen to bash at certain spots, it may go down a little bit faster. If you happen to go climb over this obstacle instead of bashing through this obstacle, you may went through it faster. And that's the thing is once some people get set in a certain way of doing things, they kind of stick to it, not knowing that everyone needs to adapt. Everyone needs to have multiple ways of handling a certain situation. Even martial arts is a good example. Um, this is why pretty much I preach that if you have not heard my preaches on martial arts, I preach that pretty much everyone should know at least three martial arts. One that involves striking, hitting folks. One that involves standing grappling, uh, which is pretty much involves throwing folks, grabbing folks while standing up, and another one that involves pretty much ground game, which will be the common reference of wrestling and grappling on the ground and all that stuff. I think everyone should have a good knowledge of those three and plus of weapons art because of the fact that if you have a good knowledge of those three or four, you basically know your ranges. And there's nothing more awesome than someone who's coming up to another person who knows their ranges. Like they know what to do when someone comes close, they know what to do when someone's not too far, they know what to do when someone's in kicking range, and they know what to do when it's like, you know what, I don't want to play these games. I just want to let you know I'm tired of this. Same thing happens with in pretty much in sparring and in fighting. Sometimes when you're sparring someone, one tactic may not work as much. I mean, if there's no other tactic that can happen, there's no other tactic that you can do, then yeah, you have to go with that tactic. But it's always good to have expand your toolbox. I like to say, and pretty much with like tactics and other skills. And I always think that pretty much stubbornness is good for the last 10, 20% of that. But the most 80%, you got to think about other stuff. You got to strategize. You got to maneuver. You got to analyze and all that stuff. And then you got to do. You got to get a feel for it. But yeah, I spill about that. And the last bit of what to do, what can we do to be able to change more, to adapt more, is prepare for the worst. Sometimes, sometimes, no matter how hard we try, a loss is going to happen. This is life. I wish I could tell you that that you are not going to go through loss, that you're not going to go through a breakup, that you're not going to go through a hit, that you might possibly hit a sort of rock bottom in a certain area of your life. I wish I could tell you that that won't happen, but it will. And it's best to accept that's going to happen so that you can try to prepare for that. For instance, if you're afraid of pretty much if you're afraid of pretty much a breakup, one, do the best in the relationship. But two, just in case, have your mindset ready of, okay, when this happens, what do I need to focus on? What is the plan that I have to do when this happens? So you pretty much have a good scenario of focus on do your best in a relationship, do everything you can in a relationship, and then you have the making the making pretty much the plan over here, not focusing as much, but making the plan over here of just like, okay, if this happens to crash and burn, even when I'm giving it 100%, what I need to do is X, Y, and Z. What I need to do is this, but I can only do that when this is crash and burning. And that pretty much goes for a lot of things. Like my car, for example, is I love my car. I drive my car. I'm a delivery driver. But delivery takes a lot out of my car. So I need to be I need to pretty much preparing that since I'm doing a lot more delivery, since I'm pretty much delivery driving, I have to prepare my mind for the fact that my car may need to go in and out of the shop a lot more frequently than I am used to because delivery driver and hits the car a lot. Same thing with even other things such as fitness. You got to prepare the possibility that you may not hit your goals in time. But before you do that, make a plan to make sure that you can hit your goals. Set a deadline. I even heard reverse planning, to where you start from the outcome all the way down to what's going to start it. Let's do that. But in the worst case scenario, if during your fitness journey or your dietary journey of becoming more fit, you hit a huge cheat day, Thanksgiving's coming up, or you hit a time to where you got an injury to where you will not be training for a while, what's the plan? What are you going to do to keep your regimen going? Are you going to work around that injury? This can go into multiple things, but always prepare for the worst. And I've had this happen um, pretty much through most of my life, that mentally, just mentally, that I needed to prepare for the worst. Uh, a quote that I remember, and this is from pretty much a different movie, the Born, the second Born Identity. I think it would be Born Supremacy. One of the characters mentioned is hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And as bleak as that may sound, it is true. You must hope for the best. You must plan for the best. You must do the best thing that you can. But you also must prepare for the worst. There must be a slight backup plan in the back of your mind. And that always facilitates change. So, to go over our rules again, right quick, is what can we do to be more able to change, to be a little bit more adaptable? Know the facts that can help you change. Don't be stubborn about it. Be open to other ideas. Be open to strategies. Be open to the fact that loss can happen, and prepare for the worst. Prepare for that loss. How are you going to handle that loss? What are you going to do after that? What's the plan after that? What is the mission after that? Always keep that in mind. Um, Remember, always like to try to plan ahead, even mentally. Always want to make sure that I am ahead as possible. And during these times, if I'm not saying that if we had an idea that a virus like COVID was going to hit, that we'd be more prepared. Because let's face it, in a way, we weren't all prepared by this. I mean, we sort of had an idea and we saw movies, but we didn't expect it to take this turn. And it happens, really. And just like pretty much the day after tomorrow, the conclusion after that one is pretty much if hopefully after this, we'll be more prepared for the next thing. We'll be more looking out for, we'll be more mindful, whether it is stalking a little bit more finances, having the right amount of supplies just in case it happens again. Not being as greedy, because I still think this will be the year that one, COVID hit, and two, people went crazy over toilet paper. So let's not be known for that again, because I think that's going to loom over our heads for probably the rest of our lives, and probably be in the history books of the year that toilet paper vanished. That'll be in there for sure. So let's keep that in mind. But next time we should be a little bit more prepared, or I hope we are. So as usual, use that to prepare yourself for the change that is possibly coming, or the change that may be coming, or the change that is a little bit far out there, that is not as possible, but just in case. I'm your host, Quan. Hope this helps out. Hope this helps you out. And have a good day. Deuces.